Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Willow breast pump. I've been using it for about 3 months or so, and so I feel like I've gotten a good idea of how it works, how it's worked for me, and some thoughts on the subject. So I've got my phone, I have my list of talking points so I don't forget anything. If you haven't already, you can watch my unboxing and first impressions of my Willow pump. I'll link that video in the description box below. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section of my video. And if you would like to be notified about videos that I post, be sure to subscribe to my channel. So let's get right into it. I have several pros, cons, and then some tips that I've learned with the Willow breast pump. So one really nice thing, obviously one of the main selling points of the breast pump, the Willow breast pump, is that you can move around with the pump. So I keep all my pump parts in this basket. It kind of looks like a hot mess right now, but please don't judge. So with the Willow breast pump, you've got these are the actual pumps. It has the little mechanism in here. And then I use the milk containers, and I'll go through that a little bit more later in the video, but they just fit into the pumps just like that with magnets. And they're reasonably strong magnets, so it works pretty well. Like I said, one really great thing about the Willow pump is that it sits inside of your bra, and so you can move around and do whatever you want because there's no wires, no cords, no tubes. So that's a really nice feature. Now, one thing I will say about moving around is that I find if I am focused more on actually pumping, then I seem to get more milk. So just keep that in mind. It is nice to be able to move around, but if you are not like actively thinking about, breastfeeding or your baby or the fact that you're pumping and trying to, stimulate some sort of letdown, you may not get quite as much. So just keep that in mind. Initially, I was getting like 7 to 9 ounces if my daughter slept all night long and I pumped in the morning. I even got 10 ounces one time. I was amazed. She's been waking up a lot more at night, so I get between 3 and 4 ounces now, but I still feel like that's a lot more than what I would get with my Spectra pump. And I have the Spectra 9, which is not in here, but I like the Spectra pump. It's a really good pump, but it has tubes, and I still have to use the bra attachment to keep the flanges on. So not quite as convenient as the Willow, but still a good pump, and my insurance covered it. So that was really nice. I did pay for the Willow pump kind of out of pocket. I used my flexible spending account to buy it, and it is kind of expensive. So anyway, I'll get to that later. There are 2 options whenever you're using the Willow breast pump. The milk containers, which look like this, or the milk bags. So you need this container or this piece, the flex tube, which looks like this, and you use it for either the bag or the container, and then bags. Part of the reason why I like the milk containers the best is because it's cheaper. These milk bags end up being about 50 cents a piece, and if you're pumping a couple times a day and using a bag per breast, that can add up pretty quickly. So I tend to use the milk containers rather than the bags. That's a huge piece of it. So just keep that in mind. Now, I will say another pro is that their customer service is phenomenal. I've had several questions with this breast pump, and they have answered every question pretty quickly, and the customer service technicians are super, super nice and so super helpful. So customer service is just like next level. I really appreciate that about a company. Like I said, some cons are the bags are expensive, but you have the option of using the milk containers. Now I will say the milk containers are kind of an expensive upfront cost. It's about $50 if you buy them without any discounts or anything, and you're supposed to replace them every 3 months is what they recommend. So now that being said, I recently got an email for $30 off 100, so I stocked up on my supplies. I got some milk containers and flex tubes. So if you can get them on sale, then you can, save a decent amount of money. Another thing that I don't love about the bags is that you can't really control how much goes in the bags in each bag, and the bags are only one-time use. So the pump shuts off at 4 ounces, or between 4 and 4.4 ounces, and so unless you actually stop it right at, like, if you want 3 ounces in the bag, if you stop your breast pump at 3 ounces, then you'll have 3 ounces in the bag, but otherwise it's just going to stop when it's full. Or on the other side, if you only get like 1 ounce, then that bag's used. I mean, you can't, it's done. Like, you get 1 ounce and that's pretty much it. So that's one con about the bags, but like I said, you can use the milk containers, and you just open up this little piece right here and then dump it into a baggie, which I actually measure it, and I measure the amount that I want in another bottle, and then I dump it into my Walmart baggies, like the breast milk baggies, because those are pretty cheap. So that's what I do. One con about the milk containers, you can do just about everything as far as like movement goes, except for bend all the way over, because whenever the breast pump is actually pumping, there's this little knob here. I don't know if you can see it. But whenever it's actually pumping, and on number 1, there's a little hole up here. And so if you bend all the way over, you'll lose some of your milk. And I've done that just a handful of times, and now I just kind of like squat down instead of bend over. It's not a big deal. You can still move around and do stuff, but you just have to be conscientious of that. With the milk bags, you can do anything. You can bend over, there's like a picture of somebody doing yoga with the breast pump on. I probably wouldn't do that, but whatever floats your boat. So that's really nice about the bags. You can move however you want. But the milk containers, you do have to kind of be careful whenever you bend over. So what I have found with the milk containers, I haven't really tested it with the milk bags just because I don't use them all that often, is that with the milk containers, it can be up to a half an ounce off on your app. So on the app, it tells you how many ounces are in each container on each side. And whenever I actually measure the milk, whenever I pour it out, it seems to be between 0.3 and 0.5 ounces off. 0.3 and 0.5 ounces less than what the app says. So that's something to keep in mind. But I can kind of understand, because it's sort of estimating how much milk is in there. Or that's kind of what I assume. So another, I don't know if people would see this as a negative or not, but with my Spectra pump, I could put all of my pieces in the microwave to sterilize them. Because there weren't any metal parts or anything. With the milk containers and with the bag adapters, I guess, they have metal on them, so you can't put them in the microwave. You have to hand wash them, and then to sterilize them, you have to boil them. So I've just gotten in the habit of hand washing them every day. It's not a huge deal for me, but that might turn some people off because it's not quite as easy as putting them in the microwave. So one note that I have is that the pump stops pumping whenever either your milk container or your bag is at 4.4 ounces. If you do let down, it will keep collecting the milk, but it stops actively pumping at 4.4, well, somewhere between 4 and 4.4 ounces. So if you get to 4.4 ounces or 4 ounces, then you have to empty the milk container or put on a new bag, and then you can start the pump back up if you still feel like your breast is full. But that being said, this container only goes up to 5 ounces. So that's not really necessarily a negative. It's just something to note because it's pretty much the same with other breast pumps. But I guess technically you could use a bigger bottle, but that might be kind of like annoying. Some tips that I have when using your breast pump. So whenever I first got my breast pump, my Willow breast pump, I was in so much pain because I ordered the wrong flange size. I ordered a flange size that was too big, and it was very uncomfortable after the first 2 pumping sessions. It felt like I was bruised, and like I said, before I contacted customer service, they helped me out, figured it out, and actually even sent me the right size flanges, which was amazing and changed my whole pumping experience, and I haven't had a problem since then. So make sure that you get the right flange size. It's very, very important. Also, make sure that if you're using the milk containers, you flip this little, whatever this is called, thing to 2 before you do the flip to finish. So whenever you're done pumping, you will break suction, and then you tip the milk container like this with the pump attached still, flip it around, and then tip it back this way. Before you flip it, and I usually do it before I even break suction, I flip it to number 2, and then I can take it, turn it around, and then flip to finish, which empties all of the milk out of this little reservoir right here. So make sure you turn it to 2, otherwise your milk will spill out everywhere. You have been warned. I have done it a few times where I have not switched it, and I've lost some milk, which is a very sad thing to me. One time, one of my pumps kind of freaked out, and I had to reset it. There's a little hole right below the charging port here that you can stick like a paper clip in, and that resets the pump. It reset, has been working fine since then. So, okay, another tip is to use either coconut oil or some lanolin, which I thought I had. Oh yeah, here we go. So either use some lanolin or coconut oil, put it around your nipple and inside of the little flange here, and it'll make pumping more comfortable just because then there's not quite as much friction. So that's really helpful. And I actually recommend that in the app whenever you get started. Another thing is that whenever you do your flip to finish and then set the container back down, there's always a little bit of milk that ends up back in here that falls down from the flex tube. So I like to save every drop of breast milk that I can. So I usually will take my bottle and I'll sort of like empty this little flange section here. I'll just go like that, and then I'll open this part up and then empty the milk that's in the container. So if you like to save every last drop like I do, that's the way to do it. Okay, the last tip that I have that it took a while for me to figure out. I was trying to like set the container up so that I could like put my bra back on. There is a little area down here that's kind of flat, and then it can rest on this. So like if you, I don't know if you can see it, if you just set it like that, it stands up by itself. So that way whenever you're like trying to put your breast pad in and then clip your bra back up, you're not having to worry about your container tipping over and spilling your milk. So like I said, you can kind of stand it up just like that. It doesn't want to stay very easily because it's on the edge of my crib, but that's something that's really helpful. So that is my review of the Willow breast pump. Overall, I love this pump. I really have enjoyed it. It's made pumping so much easier, and you spend so much time doing that whenever you're a mom that you want something that's going to be the most efficient and the easiest to do. And so I have found that switching from my Spectra pump to the Willow breast pump, I've had a much better experience. I'm able to move around. I can actually hold my daughter while I'm pumping, and I seem to produce more milk too. So overall, I would say that this Willow pump is a great investment. It is on the pricier side, but honestly, I would buy it again for sure. No problem. Not no problem. No question. So like I said, I recommend this breast pump 100 times over. to anybody that is interested in it. So if you have any questions about the breast pump or any other questions about pumping that I might be able to help you with, just put a comment in the comment section below. Otherwise, be sure to subscribe to my channel to get notifications about videos that I've posted. And I thank you so much for watching and hope you have a good day.